Good morning and welcome to the Highland Waves podcast, coming to you from Marshbrook Studios, situated on a bank of the world-renowned Margaree River in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada. At Highland Waves, we feature stories about the people, the places, and those who come to visit us here in Inverness County. I'm Pat Wall, your host. With me in studio this morning is angler, hunter, conservationist, Nova Scotia Conservation Officer, and farmer, Mr. Byron Fraser. Welcome to Highland Waves, Byron.
Thank you, Pat. Good morning.
Byron, you're a Margareer, born and raised?
Yes, I am.
Educated here?
Educated here as well.
Where did you receive your training as a conservation officer?
I received my training in New Brunswick. I went to the Maritime Forest Ranger School back in 2001 and did my training there. And then from New Brunswick, I went to PEI to Holland College and did my enforcement course there. Okay. And then come out of there and applied for work as a conservation officer with the Nova Scotia government.
It's a multifaceted training program.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was kind of a two-part deal type of thing.
How long have you been a conservation officer now?
I've been a conservation officer since 2006, so it'll be going on 20 years next spring.
What motivated you to get involved in this profession?
Well, over the years, I was always involved and interested in hunting, fishing, and the outdoors. And I wanted to make a difference, not only to myself, but a difference to the wildlife, the habitat, the brooks, the streams, the rivers, the wildlife. Okay. And I also, I wanted to be out there and to educate people as well on the rules and regulations that we have to abide by. So,
your website, when they talk about a conservation officer, it involves more than just monitoring hunting and fishing. They say you are also involved in protection, promoting our fish and wildlife, natural resources, and our other resources, safety, education, and law enforcement. Are you not also a peace officer?
Yes, correct. We are also a peace officer as well, yes.
You carry a firearm all the time?
Yes, we carry a sidearm all the time, and we also have shotguns in our trucks as well.
Oh, really?
That's just something new the last 2 years probably.
Oh, okay. What's involved in the training for a peace officer?
Well, at first, when I went to Maritime Forest Ranger School, there was a lot of training in forestry, because years ago, being a conservation officer involved a lot of forestry. Buffering brooks, the fish, the wildlife. And as times evolve, the training changed a bit to more wildlife habitat than just forestry. And then once I completed my schooling at the Maritime Forest Ranger School, I went off to Holland College. And when I was at Holland College, that's where the self-defense, the training to use a firearm, self-defense, the court procedures, and knowing the acts and the regulations, that all came into effect when I attended the Maritime or the Holland College.
Okay. Let's take your job in small pieces, starting with the conservation piece. Can you expand on that a little?
Yeah, so the conservation, basically, in the summertime, one of our main projects has conservation. We have an issue with the piping plover, and they're a bird that's at species at risk. So we put a lot of effort into looking after the nesting sites. Okay. For example, on the beaches, making people aware that the birds are nesting there, not to let your dog be running at large on the beach, keep them under control. So that's one issue. The other would be on a forestry operation sometimes where there's a brook, a salmon river, a brook flowing through, to make sure that that they do their due diligence and they put their 30-meter buffers in to protect the water source, so you still got the bugs and you got all the flies and everything that still are able to hang around that brook because you leave a buffer there to make sure there's no forestry equipment running through the brooks. Okay. To protect that as well. That's kind of about, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Okay. In a small picture.
What bothers me about that part you were just talking about, it's just all very good stuff. When you turn on the TV and you get ads for whatever four-wheel drive, the first thing they show you is running across a brook, and it's small streams, etc. It's just sort of counterintuitive when you're having all this training and you're out there trying to help people conserve what they love and use, yet we have this going on at the same time. So it's a double-edged sword sometimes, I'm sure, for you guys.
It is, and I see the same advertisements, and I feel the hair on the back of my neck going up a little bit at times when I watch that. So any individual OHV will promote their piece of equipment and how great it is, but they want to promote it by driving through a brook, driving through a bog, crossing brooks and streams. And I do not like that myself, because that's what I'm trying to prevent people from doing.
Yes.
And it's difficult when I'm involved in stopping an OHV and I say you can't be on the bog, you can't be on a barren, you can't be on a sand dune, you can't be crossing that brook. You're putting siltation into the brook. The siltation then goes down the brook. It affects the little fish, it gets in their gills, type of thing. So they say, well, I seen it on TV, and I say, I understand that. But I think the bigger picture is the manufacturers that produce these machines have to get on board and realize what they're doing. And that's not the way to sell machines.
Yes.
I understand that. I see it all the time, and it makes me a little upset to see that, to think that's what they're using to promote and sell equipment.
Yes.
Or those off-highway vehicles, and that's not the real, true picture.
Many times people, as they see your vehicle go by with Conservation Officer Nova Scotia, the first thing they think about is enforcement. And maybe you can expand on enforcement a little bit.
Yeah, sure thing. You're right. So a lot of people see us going by and they read conservation officer, and so they think, well, we're out there to get somebody or there's something major on the go. And sometimes it is, sometimes there is something major on the go and we're out there to investigate it. But a lot of times we're out there to educate people, and I can be at the local gas station getting gas, or I stop in to pick up a coffee in the morning, and sometimes I do it intentionally to stop in, and I go in, and everybody, the conversation turns from whatever it was previously to my job, and they start asking me questions, and it's a great spot to answer questions about conservation and at times I find like we're like a referee sometimes, like at a game, you got to break things up and sometimes you got to put someone in the penalty box, has
good analogy,
a good, and with that but you explain the situation, you tell them whatever the question is, you answer it for them. But it's a great way to gather information. It's a great way to answer questions, and they hear it directly from you. And sometimes I may not have the answer, but I say, you know what? I don't have the answer to that question today, but you give me a day, and I'll get the answer, and I'll stop back in and tell you exactly what's what. So as conservation, I know it's a broad term, but and there's a lot involved in it. But basically, at the end of the day, we're there to keep nature wild. We're there to promote safety, to promote hiking, hunting, fishing, canoeing, biking. We're out there to support the people. is what we're really out there for, and to keep a balance.
Sure. Do you enforce both provincial and federal regulations?
Our main objective is provincial, but there is a few federal regulations that we can enforce under certain circumstances.
Okay.
But majority is provincial.
Okay. Kind of a personal question. Do you feel any stress or anxiety when you are dealing in a small community that you grew up in and live in, having to enforce regulations? Is there sometimes some difficulties there? I'm sure there must be if you're human.
Yeah, absolutely there is. I have a partner who I've worked with probably for 15, 16 years. Him and I work very well together. And over the years, we've developed, I don't want to say a technique, but kind of a technique, Yes. When we have to deal with certain people, sometimes he's better to deal with that person than I am. Just because of his we're all different in personality. We're all different in personality.
Yeah.
And then there's some times where I'll say, you know what, I'll deal with this one because it's easier for me to deal with it than it is for him. But at the end of the day, if I roll in on something and I'm by myself and it's somebody that I know from the community, I still do my job regardless.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And I feel that they should have enough respect at times to know what I do, that they shouldn't be doing what they're doing at times. And if they get caught for doing something illegal, I treat them fairly. I treat them like I would treat anybody else. And I'll follow through. And if I can educate them, I'll educate them. And if I feel that I've achieved my goal by educating them, I'll leave a go at that. Mm-hmm. But if I don't get the response, maybe I have to issue a warning. And if I figure by issuing the warning, okay, I solved the issue, they're compliant, it's all good. And the third step is sometimes I don't get nothing but sauce or lip from them, and I can't educate them, and a ticket is issued. And that's just the way it is.
They'll have to deal with it.
They'll have to deal with it. It's not that I want to issue the ticket, but sometimes it's required.
They've asked you to do it, right?
Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically. Yeah. And I mean, I tried to treat everybody fairly. Yeah. If I give some stranger a ticket for doing something, and a relative of mine, a brother or a sister or whatever, if they were doing the same thing tomorrow, I would treat them pretty well the same way.
Okay.
It's just the oath you take, and you have the responsibility.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
well, your reputation sure is well expressed in the comments, and it is well respected in the community. With all the areas you cover, there must be certain times of the year that are busier than others.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything seems to go or come in a season, and right now we're in November, so there is a lot of deer hunting going on right now. And with the changes made to the deer season this year, where now kids can hunt at the age of 12, and we have some doe bonus stamps out there, or deer stamps, extra bonus stamps. So there's a lot of movement on the go, a lot of people hunting, a lot of new hunters out there. And unfortunately, we still get a lot of hunting at night. And we get a lot of complaints of people calling about flashing going on, which is shining a spotlight in their fields. They're hearing shots. So, and that's all over the county of Inverness. So there's two of us, two officers that work in Inverness County. So we're from one end of the county to the other end of the county, in a given day. Busy. And then in the spring time rolls around, we're into fire season. Right. And the last couple of years, it's been a big deal. Mm-hmm. We've had some major forest fires in the province.
Absolutely.
That I'm sure everybody's aware of. The fines, well, we have a proclamation come in that said absolutely no burning. And there's a very strict fine that goes with that, which is $25,000 fine plus tax and court costs on that, which runs it up to a little over $28,000. And it's a large amount of money. And, unfortunately, I've had to write a ticket for that.
Really?
And, it's not with ease to write something like that.
That's a big one.
But at the end of the day, people are losing their houses. People are losing their businesses. Just lucky. I don't believe we had any deaths. I don't think we did. But the cost is it's through the roof.
Astronomical.
It is.
Yeah.
And if that's the way, the minister figures he got to get that word out, then that's the job we have to do to educate and get that information out to people. Educate them on the burn maps, when you can burn, when you can't burn, when you call in to find out when it's safe time to burn or when there's no burning period. But it takes a lot of resources.
Well, certainly, in my opinion, it's been communicated really well since after the biggest one we had, or one of the biggest ones we had, was just outside of Halifax there in the Hammonds Plains area.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, since that fire, I think the communications from government and from you people and from the press has been very good. And it would be difficult for me to walk in the woods and start a fire and you walk up to me and say, "What are you doing here?" And I say, "I don't know. I didn't know."
Exactly.
It would be very difficult for me to respond to that
Exactly.
that way.
Exactly.
Another popular activity with Nova Scotians is angling, both for trout and for, to a lesser degree, Atlantic salmon. Do you encounter a lot of illegal fishing in the seasons?
A little bit, but I will say I believe it's gotten better over the years. We do a lot of patrols in the Cape Breton Highlands, where all the lakes are in the Highlands. We used to get people taking over the limit up there. Lately, I found it better. I haven't in the last few years come across that.
Okay.
The bag limit is 10 trout up in the Highlands, and 10 trout is enough trout for nearly anybody, and that's per day as well. A number of years ago, I had an issue of one of our brooks in the Margarees, the Lake Law Brook,
Yes.
which is a managed brook, and you were allowed to take 3 trout out of that brook. And over the years, we've had complaints of a group of people taking way over the limit. But when we'd get the information, it was always too late. That they had been there and gone. And a few years ago, I had got some good information, and I went there, waited all morning, and I did come across an individual that had fished the brook that morning. And I did a check on his fish, and the bag limit was 3, and that gentleman had 43.
43?
In his creel that morning. And, it was a good catch that day, and on both sides. And
Yes.
And that brought that to an end. I never experienced that since. And word got out, and it definitely made a huge impact. And as far as the angling, we also do a little bit on the Margaree River for the salmon fishing. So
Yes.
we'll also check salmon fishermen, check them for their licenses, and make sure they're using the proper equipment. And a few years ago, there was a little bit of I'll call it, during the water was low, a little bit of foul hooking taking place.
Okay.
And after speaking to those individuals, that seemed to curb the problem. So I will say that I think it's come a long way over the years, and a lot of it has to do with education on both sides and from the anglers groups as well. Yeah. So I'd say it's fairly good right now.
Yeah. And I think, and this is only my own interpretation of the situation, I think having more people on the river is always helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because
there's more eyes on the river.
Yeah.
And when there's more people on the river and more eyes on the river, there's a greater chance that things are going to be seen.
Yeah.
And And I do find that people are willing now to step up and pick up the telephone and call 1-800, and present the information.
Well, that's good. I imagine a lot of that work that you do in those scenarios is done at night or under the cover of darkness, should we say?
Some is, absolutely. Some is, and a lot is early morning and also late evening. There's always night work involved. Involved for sure. Okay. for the major issues,
Okay.
But it's like if you were checking a moose hunter, it's no good to go there at 1:00 or 12:00 to check on a moose hunter, because he was there at the crack of daylight, because that's when the moose are most active, and that's when you're going to get the moose. Majority is from 7:00, we'll say, to 10:00. From 11:00 to 2:00, they're probably back at the camp having dinner, having a rest, and then they're back out for the evening hunt. So by knowing the best times to hunt, the best times not to hunt, or the best times to go fishing, it helps, because we're not wasting as much time looking for hunters between 12:00 and 2:00 when really they're not there.
They're not going to be there.
So that helps as well. And and the same thing is with the OHVs. When there's a rally or coming up, there's no need to go there on Sunday, because they're all there on Saturday, and on Sunday they're all heading back home. So by knowing that type of thing and getting the proper information, you put yourself on the spot. Better position when the activities are happening.
One of the things that's taking place in the province here, and it seems to be southern Nova Scotia, but there are in central Nova Scotia, and I don't know what about Cape Breton, is the elver fishery.
Oh yes, the elvers.
That's a huge problem, it seems, right now.
It seems it's mostly happening down in the South Shore, the Yarmouth area. Yeah. There is more brooks or streams that carry the little elvers, the glass eels. Some refer to it as a glass eel. There's always been some licenses to harvest those, but over the years they become very lucrative, and more people got involved.
Well, it seems they're getting something like $5,000 a kilogram for them.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it is, and they are catching them. So there's a lot of people now that the money's there for them illegally. There's a lot of illegal stuff going on, and a lot of that is under the cover of darkness.
Yes,
for sure. And I know they have intercepted large numbers at the Halifax airport, I believe, which were being shipped out of the country. And it's becoming quite a industry. And in my area, I haven't been involved in it because we don't have the brooks that carry the elvers, except the odd one, like the odd brook. But the other officers, they worked hand in hand with DFO officers down the other end of the province.
I noticed that just last year or last fall, there was some people caught gathering elvers in the city of Dartmouth. There was a brook that runs through Dartmouth, and apparently they were down there fishing the elvers, and there was a confrontation, and I think there were some people charged. But it's really come into its own, if you will, unfortunately, of late.
Yes, absolutely. And people take the time to figure out where these little brooks are.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not much of a brook that they go up or come down from it. Yeah. And and I unfortunately I haven't been involved in any of those, so I can't speak a lot about it because I just don't have a lot of information about it.
Okay. You guys spend a lot of time and energy and education out there, and then you find somebody who's breaking the law and you charge them. What do you feel the courts, or what position do you feel the courts are in here? It seems to me that they don't really give very large fines for these things when they're convicted. It just seems to me to be, a slap on the hand, if you will. I don't know how you feel about it as a conservation officer, but sometimes you must be disappointed when you see, sometimes your life is at risk when you're going out to do this kind of stuff, and then somebody gets a slap on the hand. I just find it. Does that happen often?
Absolutely, it happens from time to time. There's a lot of work and energy goes into a lot of cases. You might be out there all evening, all night, and yet there's probably 6 officers. So those officers give up their daytime to work the night shift with you, and you you're successful and you catch an individual breaking the law, we'll say, and yes, I have seen the worst example I have ever seen was the ticket was it was $4,300, and that particular judge let that individual off for 10% of that fine. And it was really heartbreaking to see the amount of work that went into that.
Well,
and it does make you a little upset to think the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of resources, the amount of time, and then just with the flick of a pen that somebody reduces it by that much.
Well, it also sends a message to those who were involved in that kind of activity. Oh, well, I'll only get this, and they out and go do the same thing the next week.
Yeah, well, some people have the mentality to say, well, you know what, I'm going to go commit that crime. An example, could be to kill a moose, it could be shoot a deer, it could be take trout, it could be to operate their OHV on the highway, and they say, you know what, I'll just pay the ticket.
Yeah.
So what? I'm going to do it. If I get caught, I pay the ticket.
So what? Now,
the only thing over the years has changed. We'll use OHV as an example, off-highway vehicles. They have the first offense is $410, and then they finally, if you have the second offense, they put it up towards $600, and then the third offense is up towards like $900.
Okay.
So they do have a system that climbs with each time that offense occurs. So that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah. It's an incentive.
It's an incentive, exactly. And but some of the older fines, they have been in the books probably since 20 or 25 years, and they haven't been upgraded. And that's the problem that I see, is that some of these old Wildlife Act, the Forestry Act, the Parks Act, some of those acts need to be updated, in my opinion, and as they're updated, the fines are updated as well.
Sure. Going to change course here.
Absolutely.
Your other major activity is farming.
Correct. Yeah.
What type of farming do you do?
So I over the years I've run a small beef farm with my father. I got into it years ago, and I used to grow 4 to 5 acres of strawberries back in the early 90s, and as my dad got older, I took more responsibility on the farm, and instead of letting it go, I put my time and energy into it and started to rebuild the farm. And so I have a cow-calf operation.
Okay.
What I mean by that is that my cows will calve in the spring and fall, and then I raise those calves for 6 to 7 to 8 months, and then I ship them off to the sales, and they're sold as feeder calves.
Okay.
From there, they go to a feedlot where they're fed up to a certain weight where they would go for beef.
Okay.
But it got into my blood as a young fella.
Okay.
At a young age, and it's still there.
Oh, good.
So my dad, he's 88 now, and he still works on the farm with me every day. And
really?
I've upgraded the equipment and more cattle, and people say to me, "Oh, it's a lot of work," and I don't look at it as a lot of work.
You enjoy it.
I enjoy it. Okay. So I say until the day comes where I can't juggle it between work and my life, and I stop enjoying it, then I'll move on.
Move on to something else.
Yeah, but for now, I still enjoy it.
Good.
I enjoy working with the cattle. I enjoy, being around when them calves are born, and some of those calves are kept for replacement heifers, and 5 years later I can look back and I can give you the whole history on that particular
Yes,
who the mother was, the whole thing. And I don't know, it's just something to be said about that.
Oh, well, that's nice. Especially when you're involved with your dad all these years.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
What's the major challenge for a beef farmer today?
Well, prior to today, the cost was the biggest. Once COVID came in a couple of years ago, everything seemed to just skyrocket in price. And the prices we were getting for our feeder calves never really came up. But the cost of diesel fuel was up, the cost of silage wrap, the cost of feed, just everything, vet cost, everything. And it was getting to the point where it was very difficult to balance it to be able to make a profit, we'll say, or even to break even,
Okay.
And a lot of people got out of it, sold out, and, now there's only a couple of us left in the Margaree areas that still farm, and the price of cattle have came up the last 2 years.
Yes.
And right now we're at an all-time high for the price of calves.
Okay.
And it's nice as a farmer to
Well,
be
it
able
helps you.
to sit here and say it's nice because now I sell them, I get paid, and I'm able to pay all my bills, and there's something left over at the end of
Yes.
the day.
Yeah.
May not be a lot, but it's I've made some improvements, and at the end of the day I can look and say, you know what, there's something left over.
That's good. I noticed that I've been watching a television show about the southern U.S. down around the Texas area where people are just stopping farming because of the climate, drought, and difficult to find food source for their animals. And of course, the more people who get out, the price of beef goes up. And does if the tariffs that the U.S. has brought in, does that have any effect on what you do?
At the moment, I would say, going by the prices right now, that it doesn't. Now, whether it will later,
Okay.
I'm not sure. All our calves go to the Maritime Cattle Market in Truro.
Okay.
Or I guess it's called the Atlantic Stockyard now. And that's where all my calves go. And I've never got so much for a calf as I did this year. Like,
Really?
prices are extremely well.
Okay.
And the other little thing, I enjoy regarding the farming is I enjoy when you drive through the valley of Margaree, as you're driving up river or down river. In the summertime, it's nothing to see cars stopping on the side of the road and someone jumps out with a camera and they'll take a picture of you mowing hay, baling hay, or of your cattle. So that those people enjoy that scenery, or
Sure.
they wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
And it keeps the community kind of groomed instead of the field growing up with weeds, trees in it,
Yeah.
So as a farmer, I also may consider myself as a steward sometimes by keeping the community looking better.
Yeah. It's
Regarding my hay fields and
yes.
the round bales of hay in the field, it adds to the area.
Yeah, well, it's all encompassing.
Absolutely.
The job you do as a conservation officer does that, and the farming part does it as well. So kudos to you for that kind of work.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, it's just it's if there's ever any young people out there that are considering what they'd like to do as a career, conservation officer, it is a great career.
Okay.
It was a game changer for me. I was older in my life when I went back to school and chose this profession, but it's been a blessing for me and my family over the years that I have done this job, and I've met some fantastic people, and I'd like to think that I've helped a lot of people over the years, and it's you're outside. You're not stuck in an office all the time. There is days I am in the office.
Of course.
Paperwork, we all have it. But it's a great way to meet people, get out and enjoy the outdoors, summertime, wintertime, snowmobiling. and at the end of the day, I feel like I've accomplished something.
Well, that's wonderful.
So-
Your attitude is great.
So
And it's a good one to have when you are doing what you do.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us about your job as a conservation officer, and one that has many facets and is critical in protecting our resources, and for telling us about the challenges of beef farming. And I wish you well on all fronts.
Well, I thank you very much, Pat.
Okay.
I truly appreciate that.
Okay. And thank you to our listeners. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you can stay up to date. And remember, subscribing to Highland Waves is free. Our thought for today is by Alan Clark, who said, "The more you know about a species, the more you understand how to help protect them." So long for now, Pat.